Hey guys, it's Dave. Let's go through the heavyweights and then also adding in PLTR and Hood. As a reminder, these are the names that I constantly track and trade almost exclusively over the past month or so. Over the time, I will add in more, but for now, I'm just focusing on these. All right, let's kick it off with Microsoft. Microsoft is actually number one on top of my list for next week, not only because of how strong it is, this huge run here, not only because it has had monster earnings and is doing very well. This is just kind of, I think, people ringing the register, taking the gains from that run up. It has failed to fill the gap up so far from the earnings gap. We'll see. However, there has been 4 days in a row where this has closed lower. So I'm really looking forward to or anticipating if the market wants to gap up. I mostly trade, I go off the daily, but trade off the 30. So if the market wants to gap up, creating opening range, give us some sort of signal to enter in the 30-minute time frame, I will do that. And then, you know, the first target would be 536.89. I would add if it were to work its way through, but this is a pretty large pivot from the earnings day. So either way, we have potential supply overhead. But again, this is looking to be number one to take action for me next week. Next, we have NVIDIA. I am already in this. I am trading this at the moment. This looks good. I entered here on Wednesday, I believe it was. Caught a nice move on Thursday. It rested on Friday, had a nice inside day. Other than that, you know, I'm trailing my stop below this blue box here. If we look on the 30-minute time frame, this white line is the 8 EMA. It just continues to respect it. And, you know, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. It looks healthy overall. Earnings is coming up here on Wednesday, the August 27th. So we still have a couple of weeks here. And so this could just continue to run up, similar to Microsoft, gap up and then sell off and chop around. I don't know, just speculating, but just trying to stay prepped. Either way, the way I trade, it is very short term, as long as, you know, my stops dictate how long I'm in things. So either way, I'm in this and looking forward to holding it throughout next week. Apple is no longer crapple. This has been struggling. You can see I've been watching it, you know, break this out. It's been failing at this prior supply area, failing at the 200 EMA here. Finally, some news comes out that they are doing like an American manufacturing program last week, which is good. And so it really just shows that Apple is pro-America. It is supporting the American theme, and they're putting effort towards it. That's how I am looking at it. Because I suppose it's highly unlikely that they're going to bring manufacturing on over and fully manufacture in America versus China. But either way, this is now on watch. I was looking for a little pullback here on Friday. Absolutely did not get that. It just ripped another 4%. So I will not chase it up here. However, with some rest or a little bit of price give back, this is a top watch for me moving into next week as well. Amazon, this, you know, looking at the daily earnings gap down, it's been slowly kind of chopping away at the gap down. We'll probably have a gap fill eventually, when, I don't know, but it's been chopping around underneath the 50 EMA. It is now reclaimed the 8, still not the 21. However, you know, for me to trade this, it needs a little bit more rest. Now, long term, it'll be fine, right? Those are two different conversations. Again, this is shorter term trading. So I'm not super interested in this look as of right now. That is obviously very apt to change. You know, if we get a gap up on Monday, maybe I'd be interested in a long. But for now, I think it might need a little bit more work and build out and just kind of digest earnings and see what's going to happen moving forward. Broadcom, Avgo. Looking at the daily, you know, this is just, it printed all-time highs on Thursday, inside rest day on Friday. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this stock. You can see the short-term EMAs, they are indeed train tracking. The 50 EMA is just going up. We had, nice little base here, breakout, it retested it, and now it's just trending and grinding, which is nice. This was pretty hard to trade in here because it would just gap and just stay within the range. Over the past couple of weeks, though, the trading action actually has changed, where it's actually giving you some intraday signals to enter, which is nice. So I haven't personally traded it. I would, especially with this look. Just haven't really taken any action on it, but there's absolutely nothing wrong looking here with Broadcom. I'm sorry, we just did that. Let's go to Meta. Meta is also a top look. I did take a trade here on Wednesday and I was out the following day. So I took a quick 1 hour loss. I like to be right in or I am right out. So just basically looking for some sort of consolidation and a break. I don't know if this trend line, it's going to have any significance. Maybe it taps it, it only hit it twice. It's just, it's whatever. I don't put too much thought into these. However, what I do put thought into is its failure to fail this gap. And these MAs are just now very strong short-term, very strong up. And I put a lot of thought and weight into this cup and handle type look that it broke out of, retested on the broke out of on the earnings, retested, and now it's consolidating. You can call this a flag if you really wanted to the EMA. Either way, a top look for me moving into next week as well. Netflix, this is another top week for me moving into next week. Last week I was saying, you know what, I like the short, which I did like the short. I was looking at this consolidation. It was underneath the 50. The short-term MAs were trending down. It broke consolidation here. And then I closed within here. I believe I got short on this day, did not get tagged out on Monday. Yeah, I got short on Friday, I'm pretty sure. Didn't get tagged out on Monday. I got caught a nice move Tuesday, moved my stop loss. So it was a quick and small gain, actually, with where the 3-day pivot was. So I took a quick win on there. But now, it broke this range. So from failed moves comes fast moves. So it failed to move lower when it quote unquote should have. And now it is trending back upwards. It is now, I was looking at the 1200 level. It has now reclaimed that level. It has reclaimed the short-term MAs, the 8 and 21 and the 50. It has also now broken this downtrend line. I am looking to get in this. I do think this is going to give another run here rather shortly, but we shall see. Tesla, another name that, you see this, if you're anywhere on X, you see this being spewed out everywhere. Everybody sees this pattern. Everybody's drawing it differently. I've seen it drawn, which I never drew it this way, but, people are drawing it like that. And it's like, oh, it broke out already. No, not in my opinion. They're missing the highs. They're missing they're drawing it from this here as well and cutting it down here. And, oh, it's super tight. And look, now I called it. It broke out, whatever. Everybody and their grandma is seeing this pattern right now. What really matters is what happens after it breaks out. As long as it can continue on trading, I am bullish on Tesla. I am a long-term investor on Tesla. And when Tesla moves, Tesla moves. So you do want to be prepared, i.e. look at this here, right? It did a long of nothing and then ripped and then, chopped around and then it had this huge move here. So when Tesla moves, and I want to be involved whenever this resolves, wherever it might be. So if you're following this type of look, it's almost there. I would not, what I would really prefer is it to either pull back again, set a higher low versus this low, and then actually have a breakout. Or it can break out here, fail, hit this level that I have marked here, and then pull back and then give me a DT, a downtrend line retest, if you will. I don't base it off that stuff, but either way, I'd look for a pullback and then look for an intraday signal for this thing to actually get going. I do think the future's bright on Tesla, so I am biased bullish. Google, I am in Google. I entered, it was either Wednesday or Thursday, entered one of those days. Go look at my X feed, I put it on there. And I put my stop really pretty tight, and I got lucky and all this did was open up and then break out. So I put out, it'd be real unfortunate if it pulled back in the morning, tagged me out, and then did exactly what it did. But luckily it did not. So now we have a nice breakout in Google here. I would, I'm targeting these all-time highs at 207.05. Looking on the weekly chart, this thing looks great. We'll probably, I would anticipate some supply at this area, maybe a little bit of a chop. But overall, I'm just gonna let it ride, and I'm gonna just monitor it, just manage it, and just follow my process. It's as simple as that. Simple is not easy though. Crowd, this is looking to short. I've been saying it probably has a date with the 200 EMA, which is this right here. It kind of looks like that. Things are tracking down. It does look weaker than Netflix did. There's no really consolidation happening yet, so it's kind of broken at this point in time. I did put out an image of, maybe it starts rounding here and then heads on up. It didn't do that. All it did was break these lows, retest it, and now we're having another leg lower. If anything, I would have wanted to enter on Thursday, so I did miss this. I would consider a short at the break of these lows here, 424.50. We'll see if it would like to continue down. I don't think that is the best risk reward though. It really just depends on what wants to happen here. It's not my most favorite setup though. All right, last of the top 10 for the Qs, or 11, I guess, is now I have been saying, hey, it looks like it's going for an earnings gap fill. That is certainly on watch. Unfortunately, I missed this day. It gave us a beautiful entry. It was a nice tight range, and then it broke it. It held for the X amount of time at the X price, and then it just melted down. Completely missed it, which is, whatever, it's fine. Now it's just consolidating. I don't have volume on here. I don't use volume, but my educated guess is this would probably be a high volume bar followed by a low volume bar that is no less than or no more than 50% of the lower volume. So if you guys have ever heard of a quote unquote 3-bar play, this has potential to set up here on Monday. If it breaks these lows, you put the stop right here above here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to follow my process, but that is indeed a trade setup that I am aware of that people like to do. Either way, the thought is that it is going to continue on to fill this gap of, I don't know, that's not right. What is this? High is 833.96. So 833.96. Okay. Looking for that fill. I'll fix that later, but you get the gist. PLTR, this thing is just a monster. It did nothing yesterday. All it did was gap in chop, which is fine. But I haven't touched it. I am a long-term investor in here. My average price is somewhere in like this mid 70s to low 80s. So I've made a nice return on it, but I have not touched it since earnings, simply because they blew it out of the water. I didn't know if it was going to sell down or if it was going to do this. Don't know, don't care. I don't touch names until after 2 or 3 days after earnings anyways, to let it digest. And now it is simply just too far extended for me to touch now. So I need some price consolidation, maybe a time correction and or a price correction to the short-term MAs. One of them, don't know, don't care. But it is too extended for me at this point in time. Maybe by the end of next week, or middle to end of next week, I'd be curious. Not 100% sure. I missed my entry on Wednesday for Hood, which is sad because it moved 8% in a couple days. So that would have been a nice trade, but here we are. I'm not in it. This is continuing to be a top look for me into this coming week. It's been a very strong runner. It had very good earnings. It kind of consolidated here, and now it broke and hit all-time highs on Friday. That is not bearish at all. That's not bearish. And so we're kind of breaking this. I'd expect a little bit of a pullback somewhere. I don't know, maybe in the 112s to 110. Ideally, it does that. Gives us an intraday signal to enter after opening range, and then we can enter, and we get in. But otherwise, you know, you can see that sometimes this thing likes to make its move in the first 30 minutes and then chop, and then make its first move, and in the first 30 minutes come back and chop. So it's kind of been like the first 30-minute mover right now. But either way, if I have an opportunity, I will get in. All right, that is that. Good luck this week. Do your homework. Make sure you are prepped. Don't just go to the computer and press random buttons. Good luck and be prepared. Later.